I turn to you full of mistakes. My heart is shamed, my soul in pain. I turn to you full of mistakes. My heart is shamed, my soul in pain. But in your love and through your grace, I'll find a way, I hope one day. Forgive me, Ya Allah. Forgive me, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Rabbi, Ya Allah, Ya Allah.
Good afternoon, listeners. You're listening to Zaid Salim on Link FM 96.7. It's a beautiful afternoon, and I hope the fasting is going quite well. We're in the last Ashura, the last 10 days, where we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness from hellfire. We've had beautiful 2 Ashuras gone, 20 days have gone, so let's hope the next 10 days we make up for all the mistakes and everything what we do, and read as much Quran as possible, and try to reflect on our lives, what we need to do, how to make ourselves better, and try to engage with our Creator. And not only read the Holy Quran, which was revealed in this holy month, but also try to understand and try to practice upon it. Today gives me great opportunity that I have a very good friend with me in the studio, Reverend Gareth Jones, and today we'll be talking about his life. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Zaid. Lovely to be here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. And can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into this field, and were you born to come into this field, or did you have any other expectations?
Interesting question. Thank you.
Yeah. I've it's going to be a little bit of hard talk as well, yeah. So I'm not going to take it easy.
You're going to grill me, right?
Well, as I mentioned earlier on, it all depends on how much the fast has got to me.
As I say, I have no such excuse. No, it's a good question. I mean, I was born in Bristol, so I'm afraid to say that I'm a southerner.
A southerner, yeah.
But we've lived here in Sheffield for the last 8 years now, nearly 8 years, and it's wonderful. So as an adopted Yorkshireman, I can really say that we've loved being around here. Absolutely brilliant. But I'm a Methodist minister, and my parents were both Methodists, so I grew up attending Methodist churches, and that was part of my life as a child. But then, as so often happens, it was something that I kind of discovered for myself, the nature of my faith, and it's something that's continued to develop in me over the years. And so when I was in my early 20s, after I'd been a student, I started training for the Methodist ministry, and then went into my first appointment in 1985. That was in a town in Nottinghamshire.
All right.
Then I became a university chaplain. I was a university chaplain in 2 different cities for 17 years.
Wow.
Then I moved into interfaith relations after that. And
yes.
Then,
All right. So you're a Methodist priest.
I am.
Yeah, and you've got a very close relationship with the Muslims, and you've done a lot of multi-faith work. Can you tell us a little bit more about it? I know that you've got a lot of links down in the Midlands.
Yes. I mean, this really started quite a few years ago. Is when I was a university chaplain, actually in Newcastle upon Tyne, back in the 1990s, that I started to become interested in interfaith relations. I found myself reading some of the great writings of the different faith traditions, and then I started to get to know some of the local communities as well. Some of the local Muslims and the synagogues, the Sikh Gurdwara, Hindu temple.
Yeah.
And then we moved down to Birmingham in 1999, and I was a university chaplain there as well. And our chaplaincy was very multi-faith. So my office in the chaplaincy was right next door to the main worship room. and the worship room was used by students and staff of all different faiths.
Okay.
So on a Friday, I could actually just go from my office into the room next door, and that's where the Jummah prayer was taking
Wow.
place. And that was my first experience of Jummah prayer. And the students would get me a chair, and I'd sit at the back, and I would just listen and absorb, and it was a wonderful experience. And then on a Wednesday afternoon, the Sikh Society would meet,
Wow.
and so on. And I just got to know the students and staff of all different faiths. And of course, Birmingham is a tremendously multi-faith city as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Got to know the whole area and all the different suburbs and what was going on. And it developed from there, really. That's how it all started.
All right, yeah. So you ended up coming to Sheffield, and you've been here 8 years.
Yeah, well, in between all of that, I had 4 years when I was working for an organisation called the West Midlands Faiths Forum. This was at a time when there was a lot of funding for interfaith relations, locally and all around the country.
Mm-hmm.
And every region had its own Faiths Forum. So in this part of the country, there was the Yorkshire and Humber Faiths Forum. In the West Midlands, there was the West Midlands Faiths Forum. And I worked for 4 years as their interfaith development officer.
Yeah.
So my role was to travel around the region and to try and get to know the local faith communities. My main focus was in Coventry and Warwickshire. So I spent a lot of time in Coventry, Nuneaton, Leamington, Rugby, and I got to know the faith communities, and my role was to support them in working more closely together and setting up local groups and local forums.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an incredible privilege.
Yes.
And
I mean, you've done a tremendous job wherever you've gone. I mean, the volume speaks for itself. I mean, the beautiful, personality you have as well. And you've come to Sheffield, and within the Muslim community, I think you have a lot of respect. And you're the fixtures and fitting, I think, of Medina Masjid, personally. All our committee members, the worshippers and the trustees, they all love you, adhere to you. Can you tell us your relationship with the masjids in Sheffield?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, coming to Sheffield has been wonderful, actually, and we've had a lovely 8 years here, and the opportunities to get to know all of the faith communities have been wonderful. I mean, I'm minister. My main responsibility is as minister of 2 churches: St Andrew's Salter Lane Church, which is joint Church of England and Methodist, and now Highfield Trinity Methodist Church as well.
Yeah.
So that's my main responsibility. But I've just had so many opportunities to get to know different faith communities, and I think both of those congregations and other congregations I've worked with in the past have been really supportive. They themselves have wanted to engage in interfaith relations. They've supported me in doing so as minister as well. And I've just had an amazing welcome,
yes,
wherever I've been. And Medina Masjid, you've mentioned, Zaid, and the welcome I've always received has been just fantastic, whether it's going for the Friday prayers or other special occasions, major occasions during the course of the year. I've always felt really welcome, and I've always been made to feel part of that, part of the fellowship.
Yes.
Part of that body. It's wonderful.
I mean, we do during the month of Ramadan, we used to have the open days, the open iftar, where we invite all the multi-faith organizations. But this year, with the lockdown, it's not as easy. Do you miss coming to Medina Masjid?
I do.
Yes.
I really do. Yes, I mean, during Ramadan each year, I've tried to be able to come along, as you say, the open iftar, which has always been so well supported and so well organised as well. Great, typical Muslim hospitality, very warm, very generous and open. And I've been to other mosques as well sometimes during Ramadan. I've been to Osmania Mosque. I've been to mosques in different parts of Sheffield as well, and occasionally, I've gone along with friends and colleagues to attend the Taraweeh prayer, which has been a remarkable experience for me. Very different from anything I'd known before. and it's fed my own spirituality. So as well as meeting with people, getting to know people, there's also for me been that opportunity to find new ways of deepening my own spirituality through having those experiences. And not to be able to do that this year has been something I've really missed, and it's given me a sense of how strange it must have been for all of my Muslim friends
Absolutely,
not to have had those opportunities in congregation in the same way this
Well,
year.
obviously, we have to respect the government guidelines, and we do get a lot of people phoning, asking, we want to just go and see the mosque. Can we just go for one prayer? But, it's very difficult, unfortunately. But, from your point of view, did you ever get an opportunity to fast as well?
No, I've not fasted. It's something that I really should, and it's something that I've often thought I would find really beneficial. I suppose I just need to learn how I can be both busy and fasting, which I know it's something I respect enormously in all my Muslim friends, how that's possible to do. And it's something that I feel quite ashamed that I've never actually committed myself to doing that.
I mean,
I must.
One of the things we did used to have is when we had these open iftars, we had some people from the Jewish community who would be fasting, and they wanted to observe and have that feeling what Muslims are going through, that they've been fasting for 19 hours, and when they're opening fast, how it feels as well. And this year I had 3 other people who were fasting, and they wanted to have that experience, and they says it was strange as well, because when we fasting, obviously it's not just food, but there's no drink involved as well. And it was great that they were talking about their experiences. Just to move on from there, Gareth, what about your hobbies?
My hobbies? I read a lot. I've always enjoyed reading poetry. I don't read quite as much as I used to, but it's something that I've always done, and I try and read literature from as many different kind of cultural backgrounds as I possibly can to broaden my understanding and my experience. My name would suggest to a lot of people that I've got a Welsh background. I mean, that's on my father's side. My father was Welsh. And he brought me up to love Welsh rugby. So although I don't really feel very Welsh these days in many ways, whenever the Welsh are playing rugby, I am totally Welsh. Welsh. So Welsh rugby is something I've always enjoyed watching. I play a bit of snooker. That's something else I've missed over the last couple of months. I don't play very often. No more than about once a month normally, because I don't give myself more time for that, enough time for that really. But I have missed being able to go to the snooker club over the last couple of months. And music, I love music again of all different kinds.
I know that you like. You touched upon poetry. Have you come across Jalaluddin Rumi?
I have indeed. Yes.
Do you read about him?
Yes. I haven't read a lot of Jalaluddin Rumi's poetry, but I've got a couple of books which I quite regularly dip into. Amazing. Remarkable spirituality.
Masnavi Sharif is in certain countries is known as the second Quran. There's so much depth and so much complements the Quran and the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. Have you come across Allama Iqbal from?
I have. Yes. I remember going along to a talk when we were living in Birmingham. I remember going along to a talk one evening at the Midlands Arts Centre, and the talk was on 2 of the great poets of the 20th century, late 19th, early 20th century, Allama Iqbal and Rabindranath Tagore. And looking at those 2 poets together and comparing them and contrasting them.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
And like you touched about snooker. What's your highest break?
I've got that a couple of times, but not for many years now. No, I'm not very good at the breaks these days.
All right. Do you go to one of the local clubs?
Yeah. We used to, when we lived in Newcastle, the church. I was a university chaplain to the 2 universities in Newcastle. I was also a local church minister, and we actually had a full-size table upstairs in the church.
Wow.
So I had a bit more time to practice in those days.
Oh, that's good. Did you ever get a chance to go to Crucible here?
Yes, I've been twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, a friend has managed to get tickets and
Yeah.
invited me along, so I've been to 2 sessions at the Crucible.
And who's your favourite player?
Oh, I know. Who is it at the moment?
Is he a Welshman?
Well, it has been. I mean, Mark Williams,
Yes.
Matthew Stevens. I mean, he's not up there quite in the top group at the moment, but he's a tremendously talented player. I mean, when I started taking an interest, Ray Reardon was the number one in the world.
Then, yeah.
So there've
I
been
think a
some-
lot of our listeners want to recall Ray Reardon.
Yeah. There have been some great
Yeah.
Welsh players. over the
I
years.
went a couple of years ago up north just to watch Mark Williams' exhibition game.
Oh wow.
It was incredible.
Mm.
And we ended up having a nice chat with him as well. And he's a lovely, friendly guy.
Yeah, very laid back, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what about your holidays then?
Holidays.
Where do you like going? I know you like north.
Yes, yeah, we go. We've been going to the Edinburgh Festival most years actually since the late 1980s.
Yep.
So that's a regular thing. I mean, there will be no Edinburgh Festival this year because of coronavirus.
Yeah.
But we're still hoping to be able to go up at least for part of the time just to be there. I know that it's going to be very different with social distancing and everything. And that's great. And one of the things about the Edinburgh Festival over the last decade or so has been the way in which the Central Mosque has played a really important part there. With open days and exhibitions about Islam in the mosque. That's been fantastic. I always try and go. And the mosque kitchen has been doing food as well. So we always try and make sure that a couple of the evenings when we're there,
Yeah.
we go along to the mosque kitchen and support what they're doing. Absolutely brilliant involvement.
Do you have any plans in the future? Where would you like to move to?
Well, we do actually have a flat in Edinburgh, yes. I mean, retirement as things stand at the moment is a few years off.
Yeah.
But our idea is probably to retire to Edinburgh and move into our flat. Yeah.
Not thinking of staying in Sheffield?
Well, Sheffield's wonderful. Sheffield's been absolutely lovely. But I don't know. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Really, do you retire to the place where you happen to be living at the time, or do you move back to somewhere you've lived before, or do you move somewhere completely different? And our feeling is that it might be good to move somewhere new, but nonetheless somewhere we've got to know very well.
Yeah.
But wherever we go, we would miss Sheffield. Sheffield's been a great home.
I think Sheffield's number one for students after
Yeah.
they've graduated. They stay on.
Yeah.
Though there's not much from a economical point of view, but Sheffield's been so friendly.
Yeah.
That's why it's known as a big village as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. That's how it's felt to
Yeah.
us.
So you're in the
Yeah,
heart of
friendly.
Netheredge as well.
Netherridge and Sharrow, just lovely.
Lovely, yeah.
Lovely areas to be.
And about your Mrs. partner,
Yes. Jean.
Jean,
Yeah.
How is she?
She's very well, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
that's
Simon.
good.
Yeah, she's very well. Yes, Jean was a librarian by profession. She worked in university libraries for quite some years, and then when we moved to Birmingham, she moved into school libraries and loved being a librarian. Really
Wow.
loved being a school librarian, and then she retired at the end of the summer last year. So she's in her first year of retirement, and
yes.
exploring a new pace of life and new interests.
Yeah. Does I know that Jean has something to do with the Netheredge festivals as well,
Yes.
and
Yes.
she's one of the organisers.
Yeah, Jean's been on the committee of the Netheredge Festival I think since the second year. I'm on the committee as well, but I don't get to as many meetings as Jean. And so, yes, she's found that terrific, really enjoyable to be involved in that. And she also organises the big community community art and craft fair that takes place on the final Saturday of the Netheredge Festival, and that takes place in one of the churches where I minister, St Andrew's, Salter Lane, And Gina's been organising that now for quite a number of years. She gets people with stalls from all over the place,
Yes.
and that's been very exciting.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And any other plans of going on holidays soon?
Well, we were meant
Abroad, maybe?
Well, we were supposed to be having a holiday in Spain, actually, as so many other people, and other people had things much harder than we did. But we were due to be going to Spain, to Madrid, Salamanca and Toledo. And we'd been to all of those places before, but we were looking forward to going back. And one of the reasons why we wanted to go to Toledo was because of the multicultural and multi-faith background. That like places like Granada and Cordoba, these were places where under Islamic rule, the faith communities just came together.
That's right, yes.
And the Muslim rulers just made it possible for this wonderful interaction between Jews, Muslims, Christians and others.
Yes, for hundreds of years.
Hundreds of years. Fantastic example. And I think if today we could build communities that replicated those wonderful examples from Andalusia and Spain under Islamic rule, then I think we would be in a much better world.
I know you like going out as well, eating.
Yes.
What's your favourite dish?
Favourite dish? Well,
in a restaurant.
In a restaurant.
I'm not going to ask you which restaurants. Yeah. I don't know. It might not be up to our, the rules or something.
I know, advertising. Yes, yes. No, well, we do have particular favourites, certainly, and no, I mean we love Indian and Pakistani and Bangladeshi cuisine. We really do.
You've missed Kashmiri out as well.
And Kashmiri. Oh gosh, sorry. Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of our favourite restaurants in Birmingham when we lived in Birmingham was actually Kashmiri. So I certainly wouldn't want to leave that out. But the trouble with me is, although I like to explore and experiment a little bit, I can't cope with really hot curries. So I tend to be fairly limited. But I tend to go for the kormas and the milder ones. But I love a very nice fish masala.
Wow.
I really do. And over the last few years I've been getting very much into the sweets and the puddings as well. Yeah. So a lovely gajrala and gulab jamun. And as you know, Zahid, I really enjoy my masala chai and my desi chai as well.
Well, there's a place called Chai Wala. They're supposed to be coming to Sheffield as well. It's a big chain of chai.
I know it well.
Yes, and they're supposed to be coming to Sheffield, but it's been a couple of years we've been hearing. They've not opened up yet.
No, I look forward very much to that day.
And do you cook at home as well?
Well, Jean does. Jean's a very good cook. I tried early on in our marriage, but that's not one of my gifts, I'm afraid. Cookery. So no, I can't claim any degree of expertise whatsoever.
And with your work, do you get a chance to go into the schools as well?
Yes, to some extent. Only really since we've moved to Sheffield. Occasionally in the past I went into schools. But here in Sheffield, Clifford All Saints School, as it's now called, since it became a through primary school, is a school that we're very closely linked with at St Andrew's Salter Lane.
All right.
And so I go in very regularly now to the infant part of the school to conduct assemblies. And that's lovely. And although it's primarily a Church of England school and a Christian school, the pupils come from a range of different faiths. Yes. And so I'm often asked to conduct the assemblies during Cultural Awareness Week, when we can actually talk about stories from all our different faith traditions.
That's very...
And, they're very open in that way.
Gareth, it's been a pleasure having you on the radio. We've only got 15 seconds left, and thank you so much. And
thanks,
it's been great. Would you like to give any last-minute message or a few seconds?
Well, it's been my real pleasure. I mean, I would want to say Ramadan Kareem to everyone for the next 10 days, and in due course.